Communique addressed to the Christians of the old-style Orthodox Church in Romania, believers. Man, created by God in his image and likeness, has the possibility, once he is in the right faith and does the deeds of faith, to be saved. The devil, fallen from heaven because of pride, will always wage a battle against God's creation, a battle that is reflected on all right-worshipping Christianity. At the beginning of the Christian era, this battle took the form of pagan reprisals. Later, entering the interior, the devil plotted heresies using suitable persons. Also, through dubious and controversial characters, the devil also struck at the Orthodox Church by introducing the papist calendar. Coming to our days, the devil has changed tactics again. This time he uses technology, this spider's web called the internet, net/web meaning web in English. Information circulates freely and at a dizzying speed from one side to another throughout the entire world. Unfortunately, information can have dubious and questionable sources. Moreover, through various photo editing programs, many documents can even be falsified. This statement is not intended to misinform or denigrate anyone, but on the contrary, to try to protect our Christians from false information. Before we refute the information he propagates, we will try to bring here some of the information we have regarding the person of Archbishop Gregory, who resides in the United States of America. We do not want to slander or incriminate this hierarch, but we want to warn you about what kind of person he is, and how, without any foundation, he brings unfounded accusations against our church. We believe that it is absolutely necessary to defend our faith, as our grandparents and great-grandparents did when the calendar changed in Romania and when communism tried to extinguish the flame of orthodoxy. From his official website in the autobiography category, we realize that we are dealing with a proud man who begins with the phrase that he comes from an illustrious Orthodox family in Syria. Going through the contents of the autobiography and analyzing only the chapter titles, we realize that this character walked through most of the old-style councils. He only stayed at each one for a short time. Probably none of those councils was able to rise to his level of theological training or his high spiritual life. In these councils we include ROCor, Russian Synod of the Diaspora, GOC under Archbishop Chrysostom Kiousis, Old-Style Church of Greece, Kalinick's Council of the 12 Islands, Macariot's Council both in Greece, or ROAC, Synodal Council of the Russian Autonomous Church. He also visited the Holy Mount Athos in his attempt to become a bishop, which is being accomplished, being ordained in 2002 by the Synod of Suceveanul. To see who this archbishop really is, a very beautiful title, he leads an almost non-existent church, both in terms of number of believers and in terms of doctrine. We will also publish part of a decision of the Suceveanul Synod, of which he was also part. In document number 48 of July the 15th, 2004, it is said this about the above mentioned. During its session, the Synod of Bishops of the Russian Orthodox Church analyzed numerous complaints received from the clergy and laity of the Russian Orthodox Church, as well as from other true Orthodox churches, regarding the actions of His Holiness Gregory Abu Asali of Denver and Colorado. 1. Requesting baptism of true Orthodox Christians coming from other churches for acceptance into the ROAC. 2. Disobedience to the lawful decisions of the Synod of Bishops. 3. Interference in church affairs beyond the borders of one's own diocese, and, in particular, performing an ordination of a clergyman there without the consent or knowledge of the local church authorities. 4. Tyrannical and unfounded repressions of the clergy under his authority. Not correcting himself, he was deposed by his own people in 2004, but continued on, founding GOCA, meaning the True Christian Church of America. From these lines, we can draw a conclusion. Archbishop Gregory is struck by religious fanaticism, a fanaticism that is still condemned by the holy apostles, and that comes from a diabolical pride. In this pride, he convinces another bishop to form this church, in which he still operates today. The Bishop Ambrose Moran, the one in question, was an unbaptized Catholic who claimed to have apostolic succession from a schismatic synod in Ukraine. Many photos circulate online with this Ambrose dressed in Catholic vestments and serving in their churches. The two ordain a new bishop in 2007, John. Later, Ambrose Moran leaves this group of Gregory, the latter remaining only with Bishop John. So, our dear ones, this Gregory boasts in his videos that he is the only bishop untouched by stain, heresy, and schism. Do these words sound familiar to you? Does he resemble the Pope of Rome, who believes himself infallible? He had devilish courage and invited the Synod of our church to take a blessing from him, saying that we are fallen and must seek forgiveness from a true bishop. How much pride, how much madness! Because no synod in this world wanted to have anything to do with the Archbishop, Gregory has recently launched a campaign of denigration against all the old calendarist churches in the world. Thus, in several of his presentations, he also addresses the old-style Orthodox Church in Romania. It is clear that what he is doing now with our church is a theater directed and orchestrated by others, he being a servile performer who has collected his 30 pieces of silver and reads what is written to him. We will not go into details or bother to combat his false theories because they are plain to see, and the faithful of our church know the history of BOSVR as well as its canonical continuity. But how does he allow himself to denigrate the holy hierarch Gregory? From American comfort, it is easy to say anything about anyone. Gregory did not live in the cold in the forest, surrounded by wild beasts. He was not dragged through the wire fence. He was not hit by the gendarmes with the butt of his gun. But we are firmly convinced that our Christians know all too well these sacrifices that Saint Gregory made, and how he sacrificed himself to carry forward the banner of faith. Moreover, we are even more convinced that many of your brotherhoods have felt miracles performed by our saint. Therefore, we will not go into details. As for the person of Metropolitan Galaxian, all we can do is be grateful to him for his return to the bosom of the true church, and for the fact that he raised us as an ecclesiastical institution. About the two, Saint Gregory and Metropolitan Galaxian, we have extensive material presented 2 years ago and which can be accessed in the following link: https://manasterias.tulicari.ro/parente-este-credenta-orthodoxa-stil-vigi-singura-side-adevarata/. But because our church is sprinkled with martyrs' blood and our ancestors laid down their lives to defend it, the devil brings all kinds of temptations through which to weaken our faith, through which to reject it, through which to embrace lies. We are hit from within by the fight of the former Metropolitan against church that he led for 30 years. Gabriel Ilasoaya also appears, who, like an inept politician, fabricates all kinds of accusations against our hierarchy in particular. From the outside, here is another danger for us and for the Christians we shepherd. I was saying at one point that this Gregory is an archbishop of a church with very few followers. We believe that he is looking for naive people to follow him in order to bring him some benefits. He has already established 2 parishes on our territory in the Transylvania area. In this way, I would like to inform you that it is not canonical to participate in his services or those performed by his clergy. His mission is to divide and tear Christians from the bosom of the true church, so I urge you to be vigilant and not fall prey to his lies. Therefore, I felt the need to draw your attention to this dubious and controversial character from the United States, and to feel the stench of the wolf coming from under the sheepskin he wears. Be followers of the church founded, as I mentioned above, on the martyr's blood shed by both the holy hierarch Gregory and other clergy and laity. Even if we are going through a less glorious period, the good Lord will not leave us. We consider this period a trial, a temptation. But if we manage to overcome with the help of the Lord, we will become more hardened, more spiritual, more elevated spiritually. In this sense, we have the request to your brotherhoods to all kneel in prayer, to raise prayers for the peace of the church, for the peace of the whole world, for deliverance from enemies, for the return of the wicked to good, and for the salvation of all Orthodox Christians. Yours to God praying, plus Bishop Sofronie Suceveanul.